きる誰でもスキルを稼げるガバナンスまである中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかるレバヤさんニュース開かれる海嘘はない読んで書いて氷結しろ力はみんなのものいい霞をたたえろニュースは君のものだレバヤさんニュースレバヤさんニュース
Hello everyone, what's up? DAdvisoor here, Leviathan News, and I'm actually very excited about this one. It's always something that I'm very much into, and I've actually tried doing stuff like this several times, but rarely it even gets to the point that we're getting here now with it, of actually releasing the first episode. But with Leviathan News, with the whole concept, especially now with SQUID DAO being an actual thing, one of the things that I always wanted the most was to actually get more and more shows and different formats of shows on the channel, not to just have it Garrett's Llama parties or Johnny Online with the vibe building that he started a few months ago. Shout out to them, and my own show. But to actually find interesting collaborations with teams and think of new shows that we can deliver and create like a very symbiotic format in which everyone, including of course the community and the audience, gets to benefit. A few weeks ago, maybe I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, when one of the founders of vaults.fyi, Kaimi, sent me this his new Telegram group of like him featuring a new, like a vault a day, basically, and how the vault actually works, who's taking the risk, what is promised and what is actually delivered. To be honest, immediately when he showed me that, I was like, "Oh my God, what a useful Telegram channel!" First of all, and the second thing, really, even before I've scheduled the interview with you, the first one we did, Tyler, I was like, "Oh my God, this can be such a great concept for a show. How have I not thought of that before? Because it's so useful, you know. And I think it's exactly what, like, the kind of stuff that the industry needs, and the community, like, exactly up their alley, what they actually want to know about. So I'm very excited to do this first ever pilot of the new show. I've called it Vaults Report for now, but everything is up for debate and negotiation. Tyler, thank you so much for joining me and trying it out. What's up?
Thank you for having me. Excited to do this. Very excited. Yeah, I agree. Symbiotic, and excited to be in front of your audience, and let's talk some vaults. Let's talk you.
Amen, amen. You know, you guys have such a cool product in general that you've actually mentioned a lot about when you were here. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yep, that's right.
Like that. So whoever is not familiar with vaults.fyi, after we stream here, if you want some additional info and proper introduction, I recommend you check out the interview we've had before on Leviathan. You can find it on the Leviathan News YouTube. But on this specific like new format, we actually want to discuss some of the featured vaults that the vaults.fyi guys have presented this week, and try to really dive in. How do the vaults actually work? Where is the yield coming from? Who is actually taking the risk? What can go wrong? And basically, what like, how does someone actually get like the proper info about a vault before he wants it? And there's actually also like a very cool one that you guys have released, I think it was even today, about the different roles and positions of USDC versus USDT in the DeFi ecosystem. So that's definitely something I'd want us to touch on. Before that, let me just give a great shout out to both Arcus for that great intro video that keeps getting compliments. And by the way, guys, I've actually also had Darren on from Fusion, which we'll also mention here today. So after the episode, feel free to check out the great interview I've had with him. Actually, I really enjoyed talking to him, one of the smartest individuals I've met in person. And but I also want to give a shout out to the SQUID Pass winners. And this week, again, this is RAAC. Regnum, formerly known as Regnum Aurum. Let me show you show it on screen. Just a second. RAAC, how to get a top stablecoin yield in DeFi with PMUSD, their new token, the new stablecoin, I should say. RAAC, let's go to the website, RAAC.io. I think you should be seeing it on screen now. A DeFi lending and borrowing ecosystem powered by real-world assets. A lot of stuff coming up soon with RAAC Lend and RWFX. You can actually already earn up to 27% yield on PMUSD. So go ahead and check out the link in the description or our pinned post on Telegram and X on Leviathan News. That's what the SQUID Pass is all about, actually. And thank you guys so much, RAAC, K Crusher, MD, Florian, for winning this week's auction and choosing Leviathan News. Appreciate it a lot. And okay, Ryan, Tyler, sorry. Let's get into some vaults. Tell us about some of the vaults that you guys have featured this week on the Telegram group, and maybe also add like your own intro about what this Telegram group is, how can people find it, and because it's a very useful one, honestly.
Yep. So the Telegram channel that we're talking about is called Kaimi's Vault Insights. Now, Kaimi is my co-founder at vaults.fyi.
Shout out Kaimi.
Maybe we'll get him on here one day. He's a non, so I'm going to be kind of, you know, the face representing.
I think we have a better chance of getting Ryan on at some point.
Yeah, I think that's true too. But yeah, the channel is basically, so if you're not familiar with vaults.fyi, go to our page and you'll see, you know, data across all of DeFi today, places where you can earn yields, 7-day, 30-day historical yields, track the performance on them, how much TVL is sitting in these different protocols today. And then through our API, we're just making all of that data accessible to anyone who's using our API. And this channel is kind of like taking all of that data flowing through our system and just every day spitting out some good insights on it. So like something simple that helps you understand one of these protocols, one of these vaults better. And then I think some of the things that it's been doing this week that are pretty cool is just highlighting like market trends. So as you mentioned to start, you know, we kind of broke down like what do yields look like on Tether today versus USDC. And there are some pretty stark differences there that maybe we should talk about.
Let's keep the USDC and USDT for a little later on, the main dish, like I want to do.
Good teaser.
Choose whatever vault you feel like talking about, whether it's from something you guys have featured this week or in the past few weeks, and just let's try to share like an update about it, where you actually give some kind of okay, look, you guys, you see this vault, this is how it works. This is where the yield is coming from. This is what you say. They tell you that you're gonna get, but this was actually happened. I actually think it would be a good example just for the concept of that group. And those who want to find it again, it's let me just check the address of that Telegram group, and I will also later add it on the channel, this on the description. It's called Kaimis Vault Insights. Actually, already 65 subscribers, it's growing. It's t.me/vault_insights. One daily DeFi Vault insight, risk reward, mechanics, strategy, assets, TVL, APY, credibility. Honestly, a very impressive channel. So choose one, man, whether it's from this week or the previous one, and let's try to go over it.
Sounds good.
And
mind if I share my screen?
And by the way, if you can share your screen, of course,
Perfect.
will be better. I will also, by the way, of
Do it
course,
that way.
use that time to start sharing the link on the stream on X. So feel free to really dive into it. I'm not wait, let's try again. Okay, I'm saying
There we go. Perfect.
Go
So
for it.
yeah, just starting with one of the things that came up in this channel, which if you look at the vaults.fyi X account, Twitter account, we posted the other day that like if you're looking at, there's around $20 billion sitting in stables in USDC and USDT in DeFi today. And the vast majority of those are earning under 5% APY. And so we're kind of basing that based off the last 7 days. And if you come to this view in vaults.fyi, you'll see like these yields are quite low. Aave, this is for all the stable coins, but even things like Athena are quite low. The Aave vaults, Syrup, even on Maple, which is like more under collateralized or credit lending, under 5%. And so I think that's surprising to people and really just kind of a good indicator of where the market is today. So I'll start with that. And then maybe to tie into something else very topical this week is kind of all this conversation around Aave. And if you read like Mark Zeller's recent post on the Aave forum for the DeFi nerds here, he's kind of talking about like what's been happening on Aave Horizon. And, there's like $1 billion sitting in there, but is much of that very sticky? And like, is there much real revenue being driven out of that? And, if we go here and I'll type in Horizon and we can see like this biggest one here. Right now, I'm only showing the ones over 100 million TVL. It's pretty much like all of the yield coming in Aave Horizon is from rewards, and that's subsidized usually by, in this case, it's Ripple, this RLUSD, and it's kind of a strategy that's playing out on Ripple, RLUSD, on both Aave Horizon, the Aave normal market. If I take this off, the core V3 market, and then it's happening on Euler too. So Kaimis Vault Insights had one of these breakdowns on like these Centaura vaults, which one of the leading DeFi curators today. Kind of a newer one, Steakhouse, Gauntlet are the two big ones. Centaura is somewhere in the middle and kind of building its own following. Today, their biggest vaults, if we look here, they are these Euler vaults and Morpho vaults covering PYUSD and RLUSD. So back like same RLUSD that's on Aave. And these things are heavily subsidized. So each one of them, pretty much all of this yield, you're looking 3 to 6%. And it's like 80, 90% of that yield is coming just from rewards that either Ripple or PayPal is paying out. So, where does the yield come from on these things? Again, if you're looking at Aave Horizon, it's like that is pretty much just for having your Ripple USD sitting there, lending against these like T-bill products sitting in Horizon. There actually isn't a ton of borrowing happening there. And then it's really just you're getting subsidized, paid out by Ripple. So Aave Horizon here, let's look at the last 30 days, how this has looked. You're earning something like 6% for having your RLUSD sit there and basically get it subsidized. And it's kind of the same thing if we go back and we're looking at either PYUSD or RLUSD in all these Morpho, Euler, and Aave markets. So I guess, summing up, like there's a lot of low yield out in the market today. And, the places where you're finding these steady things, it's kind of you just picking up incentives. And that's, if you're kind of conservative, that's a pretty smart approach right now. What do you think about that, DAdvisoor?
I think it's first of all, the Aave story this week has been all over the place and quite crazy. What would you say is the most important stat or thing someone can learn from this specific one that you've presented? Like what catches your attention the most on this one?
Well, in this channel, it's just like, I think if you're looking for yield out there, it's important to kind of know, what do you want to get into? Usually when you're talking about earning higher yields, you're usually getting higher yields to compensate for higher risk. And, that's the whole, there's no free lunch thing. What I will say the closest thing to a free lunch is, when people are just paying token subsidies on these things. So, I think the stat here is like, if you get stable coins that you're comfortable holding on to, lending to, go to vaults.fyi, see where you can put them. And like, if you're noticing, you hover over this little icon here, these little stars on our page, like the stat here, 6% is from rewards. And like I say, that's kind of the closest thing you're going to get to a free lunch.
Let's move to another vault. Any specific other vault that you can share that you've seen recently on the channel?
Yeah, on the channel, let's talk about, Kaimi highlighted this one, that is the flagship CBBTC.
Nice.
And I think it's a good one to talk about because
it's also important to remember that it's not all about like stablecoin vaults.
It's not. Let's see, where is this showing? You gotta pull it up. Flagship, I can't spell. We're doing this live.
Okay.
Why am I not seeing this load today? Give me a second here. This is the flagship CB.
Guys, by the way, for now, if you want to check out the website and try to find what Tyler is doing, you go to vaults.fyi. You can connect your wallet. Almost 1,000 vaults, from what I remember from the interview we've had.
That's right.
A few weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. And so much to explore, so many opportunities. I will tell you guys, like the classic disclaimer, especially with this kind of show, of do your own research. This is not financial advice. None of us is qualified to give you any, but there's a whole lot of data over there and real data that we really want to share with you guys. And at least for me personally, this Vaults FYI website, really, it's filled with quality data that I really recommend people check out. I think it's something that still many people are not aware of, but it can be very, very useful. And it's one of the few things that are like, not the classic Web3 or smart contract service that we usually have on here in the interview, but really so useful to Web3 and crypto and DeFi users. So definitely check them out at vaults.fyi. Okay, Tyler, go on, man.
Yeah. So flagship CBBTC, we've got this one in front of us. This is a vault on mainnet in the Lagoon protocol.
By the way, sorry for maybe I'm not. CBBTC is. I actually thought it was on Base. I'm really not educated.
It's on Base too, but yeah, token is live. They have instances on mainnet and Base. You can bridge it from place to place. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to look into that, like what the, the pure CBBTC is and what is like a wrapped version. I'm not sure if there is a difference, but yeah, good liquidity, decent
Just
liquidity on
me
mainnet at
being
least.
ignorant about what CBBTC is, but okay. So you say that this is
Yeah,
actually a mainnet vault.
mainnet vault, and it's BTC. It's just the Coinbase wrapper on BTC, similar to WBTC. So by itself, it's not earning any yield. And if you've been around DeFi for a while, it's pretty hard to find decent yield on Bitcoin. So to see this coming from this Lagoon Vault, and the 7-day trailing APY is almost 19%. Over the past 30 days, it's earned 7% APY. Those are quite high. So kind of worth digging into, like, where's that coming from, and what's this mean?
Definitely.
And
Where do you get like? I'm looking at the TG channel now, and I'm seeing that it
yeah,
says there 15.8% on CBBTC. Kind of wild.
yeah. Well,
Is it
even
really the case? Let's say, is it really the case?
Well, it's really the case because it's here on chain. If it's showing on vaults.fyi, it means that that value has been actually recognized on chain. Some apps you go to and they'll show you like a projected APY, something that's kind of a number that says we're earning so much in these different places. Here's what it translates to. But sometimes those kind of fade away. With vaults.fyi, if you come here and you're looking 7 days, since we posted in the TG channel, it's actually 19% APY now. And what that means is like,
Wow.
if you invest in this thing 7 days ago, and you entered a 1 LP share price of this point, and you compare it to what is 7 days now, that's how that's your annualized number is 19%. So it's quite high. Now, as I said before, like usually no free lunch. It's usually you're taking some risk to get a higher yield. I think that's the case here. I think it's probably,
What are the risks? Like, how does it actually happen? Can you explain where
yeah.
such a high yield is actually coming from? First of all,
Let's dig into it. So one of the challenges that we have at Vaults FYI, and you notice here, like if you come to where does the yield come from, we don't show a lot, and that's because it's this complicated thing. Even if we flip over to the Lagoon page, we're looking at get the best real yield, risk-adjusted yield across a diversified set of DeFi protocols, LP on dexes, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of stuff. And then you kind of have to dig in to see, okay, a bunch of this is coming from yield basis. And this might be changing every day too. So this is changing every day in real time. Tough to make sense of. And the Telegram channel is our best attempt. This is all kind of experimental. It's not financial advice. And we're using LLMs to help us put this stuff together. So it might hallucinate from time to time. But what we aim to do is like, we do a good job summarizing of, okay, what is going on in this vault? And like, for me, there are only 8 of us on our team. We can't type that manually. We can't look into every one of the vaults that we cover and put that manually. So we're trying to connect you with that info. And the Telegram channel is pretty helpful here. So if we look into it, like this is run by 2 curators, Tulipa Capital, 9 summits, and they're taking delta neutral trades. So today that's in yield basis. They're also lending some on Morpho, and they're doing things like kind of the Athena type strategy sometimes too, betting on funding, and it's kind of this is kind of the new trend in DeFi is you have these managers who can move funds from venue to venue and get you the best yield on like wherever that is at the time. So it's going to change a lot over time.
sorry, was muted. How much money is in there right now?
Yeah, so let's go back to Vaults FYI. That's 185 Bitcoin. So what are we at there? So 70,000 per Bitcoin. That's something like $13 million. Not a, yeah, here we go, 13 million. Not a huge size, but a
Not
vault
that
that's
small,
kind of capable and
not that
Mhm.
tiny either,
Yep.
Okay, so you've explained that basically how that it's okay. It's two curators doing delta neutral strategies. So dumb it down for me a bit, as much as you can.
Yeah.
What's the actual risk that someone is taking if they're putting their money in here?
Yeah, so I'll say not financial advice here, and
Class.
honestly, not an expert on like this vault and lagoon in general. But basically, kind of think of lagoon, upshift, Veda. There are a number of these vaults now that you can deposit funds into, and then you have curators who are able to manage those funds between multiple venues. Like they can move it between different chains, bridge your assets to different chains, stick them into Morpho, stick them into Aave, into Curve, yield basis, do whatever they can to get like what they find is the best returns at the moment. And that's really what this is here. And Lagoon like has some safeguards to make it harder for you to get rugged. But I would say like any of these protocols, it's hard to protect all those vectors. So when you are evaluating these things, I think you really at the end of the day have to say like this curator, Tulipa Capital, Nine Summits, are these guys trustworthy? Do I think that they're smart people? They're able to like find better yields than I can. And I'm happy to kind of put my money with them for a bit. And this is this new space of curated vaults and vault curators that it's actively managing your money. And there's some protections, as I mentioned before, where you're like not just handing your money to these people and they can totally vanish with it. There's kind of this limited set of opportunities that they can move your funds to, that you can set some programmatic rules there. But it's DeFi, and there's still lots of ways for you to get rugged. So I think at the end of the day, you got to make sure you know who these people are that you're trusting your money with to manage it.
As you're describing it, I'm going over the post about it by Kaimi, and it's actually so good. I won't read it all because it's a bit long. And again, I'm gonna really recommend people to. I really want to see this channel grow as we do the show. So if you're still not on there, go to t.me/vault_insights to actually see what we're discussing, because I find the explanations by Kaimi, whether he writes them themselves or whether it's kind of an AI, these are so useful. Let me just read the end there for people to check out. You're the ammo. Your deposit is the collateral Tulipa needs to put on massive short positions. They capture the spread, you get the carry. But you're effectively the liquidity provider for their trading desk. When the desk needs to unwind, your exit waits. Meaning actually this could cause you like the delay itself. The trade is this. You're long Tulipa's ability to time funding cycles and manage basic risk. When it works, you earn a massive percent on BTC. When it doesn't, you're locked in, watching your stack bleed. This is so cool, man. This is such a...
It's good.
There are so many great descriptions about what's actually going on. We should learn how to like properly prepare these in order to really do the best job we can in presenting these. But man, this channel is so useful. You want to do another one before we get into the USDC, USDT one?
Yeah, let's do it. And on this, it's just like, look how low the BTC yields are across DeFi for the most part. So it's to get high yields, like I said, there's no free lunch. It's like you should do your homework on this Lagoon Vault, on these managers, and there are great opportunities out there if you're willing to take that risk. But just understand what you're getting into. There's usually no free lunch. That's probably going to be my the thing I'm going to hammer home. I'm going to keep coming back to.
definitely right on that. Okay, where are we moving next, Tyler?
Yeah, well, I'm scrolling through. Are there any in particular that you liked you want to hear more about?
On the channel, you mean?
Yeah, on the channel.
Let me take a look. I do want us like if you can do it, like let's do the Centaur PYUSD main.
Yeah. So that was kind of the one that I started with here. This one, PYUSD main. This is the
Can you maybe
Morpho
get
vault.
into it in like more detail?
Yeah, sure. I, I can. So this is a Morpho vault. You're lending against various collaterals on Morpho. I will actually pull this up and let's see what do we say here from Kaimi's insights. I mean, this vault, it's exposed to collaterals on Morpho. I'm kind of going through the full line here, but I'll cut to the kicker too in a moment.
No, no rush, no rush. That's the whole point, man. I don't want just the kicker. I want for people to really be able to understand the full breakdown that
Yep.
that is possible on an actual vault. Because you know I think many use like of course like the really savvy users don't work like that. But I do think that many people in DeFi, what we mostly do, and I'm not just saying we by chance, we just look at numbers and yields and we tell
Yep.
ourselves, okay, yeah, it looks nice. And then I like, for me personally, I always like also ask myself how centralized or decentralized I think the service is. Like if it's too centralized, in my opinion, like whether it's the token itself or the app that wants me to deposit into, I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't really trust that. I don't want to do it. But other than that, I don't really break it down. Like for me personally, I've never used the PYUSD, but PYUSD is not a very small token. I believe that quite a lot of money is in PYUSD. What can someone do with it?
Yeah, I think several $billion in PYUSD now, and as we kind of started with like there's a lot of PYUSD sitting on Aave, Euler, and here in Morpho. So this particular vault, if we jump over to the Morpho UI, we can see a little bit more about it. You can see from vaults that this one is curated. Again, like there's an active manager attached to it. This is Centaura. And
what's Centaura, by the way? What is
Centaura, they're, kind of call them like a risk manager, an asset manager, perhaps, or a different flavor of an asset manager. And they're responsible for kind of looking across markets, like a steakhouse, like a gauntlet, like a chaos labs, and trying to see like, we can lend against this asset here, lend against Bitcoin, lend against, token XYZ, and like how risky or safe is that? And like what yield are we getting for it? Is it worth the risk? That's kind of like this curator's mental model, and they're like running a bunch of simulations and calculations to kind of figure out like, is this a good yield, and should we be putting funds to it, and should we diversify here, there, etc. So, if I jump over to Morpho, you can see what that looks like. So Vault is run by Centaura, and that means that they are like taking this 212 million in deposits in this vault, and they're moving it between different assets that they can lend to through Morpho. And I just clicked into like, this is in Morpho, there are V2 vaults, the newest version of the protocol, and there's V1. Now they kind of just went through the launch of V2, and most of the V2 vaults are just allocating to a V1 vault under the hood. So I clicked into the V1 vault. Like all of that $212 million actually is running into this V1 vault. And then I scroll down to the bottom of this page, and I can see that, that $212 million, here's what it's broken into. 146 is just sitting around in PYUSD. 40 million is lending against Athena staked USDE collateral, and another $13.7 million is lending against Syrup USDC. That's in the Maple protocol. That ultimately, like Maple, and this is where you just keep going deeper in this, and why you kind of want a curator if you don't want to do all of this yourself, because you have to understand, like, Syrup USDC, what is this thing? Well, it's Maple is making loans in a pretty centralized way against parties that are like pledging Bitcoin and other big crypto collateral in centralized places like BitGo, custodians, and they're lending your stable coins against those collaterals with like rules that they'll get liquidated at certain points. So back to like, what is Centaura doing here? They're kind of looking at all these different collaterals. They're saying, okay, we can lend against Athena and get paid 3%. We can lend against Syrup USDC, get paid 5%. Each one of those markets kind of has its own functions to it. This stuff gets complex. And so where I said, like, what's this vault actually doing? Most of it's just sitting around in PYUSD. And then you as a user, I'll flip back over here, and this is the kicker. You're only getting paid like 0.1, 0.2% for lending against these complicated things like Syrup USDC and Athena. And most of this 6.6%, you're just getting paid rewards. You're just getting paid PYUSD subsidies, and you're getting paid some Morpho tokens. So like, that's why this one, I say, it's kind of the closest thing you get to a free lunch. You're getting paid 6% to not take a bunch more risk in your specific lending. You're mostly just getting paid extra PYUSD by PayPal.
That's a great breakdown. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great breakdown, Tyler. Thank you. All right.
Oh, we lost the advisor.
Okay, wait. I think I dropped.
You're back. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some internet connection stuff here. I don't know. But thankfully, I'm back on. Okay, take us to the main dish of today. Let's explore the differences between USDC and USDT in DeFi. I'm gonna move your screen just for a second there, just
Perfect.
so we can discuss it. I've actually seen this one today, and it was kind of an unusual one, like relative to other posts on the channel that just take this or that vault and give like just like you just did with some. Like the ins and outs of how a specific vault works and who's taking what risk and how does the mechanism actually work. This post that I'm going to have you discuss now actually took a different approach. It took USDC versus USDT, the two by far largest stable coins combined within the stablecoin market. I think around 83 or 85%. I've checked it recently for this show that I've done, something like that, give or take. But like the vast majority of the stablecoin market is these two. Okay, and by the way, like by far the leader is Tether, USDT. But this post actually shows that despite the fact that USDT is the dominant one on the market cap size and the one being mostly used, I can tell you that in my like part of the world, like if I want to do some kind of a transaction with a stablecoin, people will want USDT. Okay, like here, by far they will prefer USDT than anything else, including USDC. But the post today by by Kaimi on the channel actually shows that when DeFi, like according to DeFi anyway, by far the king among these two centralized stablecoins is actually USDC, and offering significantly more yield, especially in stablecoin terms.
Yep, that's right. So we just shared a tweet on this too. If
show it.
you want to share that screen.
I'm popping your screen back up, and if you can zoom in a bit, maybe so people will.
Yeah. So there we go.
Go.
That's a good view of it. So this is kind of the summary that USDC actually Tether, as DAdvisoor mentioned, much larger than USDC in terms of total circulation. 2.5, 3 times as large. But if you're looking at like stable sitting around in DeFi yields, there's actually more USDC there. So it punches well above its weight, and it's bigger than Tether in DeFi. Now that also means you're earning higher yields on USDC. As I mentioned at the start, like yields are pretty low across the board right now, but you're getting an extra percent to do stuff in USDC in general. And then the other thing that's interesting here is just like it's a much richer ecosystem. So Tether, I think they're doing a lot more, especially on Plasma today. And that's pretty much where most of this is coming from. It's just USDT and Aave.
Plasma is kind of the ecosystem for Tether DeFi, no?
Yeah. That's the big bet. I think Tether and members of the Tether original team have invested in, I think, two networks recently, 2 Altel ones, Plasma, Stable. There isn't much happening on Stable yet. But there's a lot of DeFi on Plasma. You'll find it in vaults.fyi. And you can see here that, there's a lot in Aave. There's a lot of, again, that like syrup USDT that we were just talking about a minute ago. A lot of that is on Plasma. But the big difference here is like you look at Tether, 74% of all the Tether and DeFi sitting in Aave, sitting in Pendle and things on top of Aave too that we're not including here, kind of the second layer. But that's a lot more just, there's less going on in Tether DeFi, just around 60 vaults, over 1 million, most of it in Aave, versus with USDC, you've got 200 plus vaults that, are showing on our site. And if you look at where the USDC it sits, it's like it's spread pretty evenly between Aave, Morpho, Euler, Spark, Compound, and a bunch of others. So
why do you think that is, by the way, if you have any assumptions? Is it because that these DeFi services are much more common for to be used by users on that side of the world? Is it a strategic move by USDC that they want to be very highly integrated into DeFi? Where do you see the difference coming from?
Yeah, probably a couple places. This is my personal opinion on it, is that kind of 2 things. One, Tether is the big winner early on. USDC was the challenger, and we're talking in like 2019, 2020, USDC was way behind Tether. And I think, one of the places they found early adoption and ability to catch up a little bit was to be like the stable coin that won DeFi. So I think, this difference between how much TVL is in USDC versus Tether in DeFi, that used to be even bigger in 2020. So you like DeFi is one of the few places that USDC has won as a stable coin. And the other thing, which maybe like a little bit non-intuitive, is I think a lot of people who have funds in Tether, and you mentioned it on the other side of the world, like if you're outside of the US, people know Tether and they're happy to get Tether just to like have access to dollars. I think USDC doesn't have the same story. A lot of people who are holding USDC are Americans, or people who have kind of easier access to dollar accounts. And so I think a lot of the people who have their money in Tether, this is my hypothesis, like they're kind of fine just having access to dollars. And like if you're thinking in a different currency, you know, maybe the dollar is like going up just versus your native currency, and like you don't need to earn an extra 3%. For me as an American, kind of in my seat, it's like there isn't much reason for me to hold on to USDT or USDC unless I'm earning more there than I am like in my dollar bank account or, you know, some other place I earn on my dollars. So I'm very sensitive to like how much I'm earning on USDC. And so I think, you know, that explains some of this too, is like USDC is going to react more to these rates. And if the rates aren't high on USDC, like it's going to vanish. People are going to redeem USDC, and the USDC supply is going to go down. That money's going to move off chain.
Yeah, I agree.
And does that
Sorry?
resonate with you? Like, do you think that's true, or I'm curious for your take on it?
Yeah, I would agree of the fact that two things, I think. Like, first of all, I think 99 point, I don't know what, of USDT holders, they don't even know DeFi exists and they don't really care. You know what I mean? It's just like you said, it's mostly on the non-native dollar sides of the world. And it's people who just want dollar access, like first and foremost. And actually, I'm even just seeing like a glimpse of it because, you know, people here, they can get like TradFi dollars if they want. I think that in many places in the Eastern hemisphere, they don't even have any access to dollars, period.
Right.
So like for them, they have to do it, and USDT does have the network effect, and DeFi is a non-factor. It's like no one knows, no one cares. Like it's not the point for them. They just don't want to hold tokens who literally are vanishing in front of their eyes and are losing value at a much higher rate than that. Also, I actually think that this created another thing, but I don't know if it's going to stay the case, especially now with stuff like USDT zero, which, by the way, I'm curious, is USDT zero included in these stats, you'd say?
It is included. We should have like noted that. But yeah, USDT here is including there are like multiple variants. Yeah, different symbols on different chains, but USDT, USDT zero, etc.
Because I think that, you know, like later on, I think that USDT has started to tell itself, okay, why should we neglect the DeFi game completely? And maybe we should like try to integrate there a bit and be introduced and not completely leave the arena for USDC or other stable coins. So I do, like, I'm not sure, I think it's, if I think that this situation is gonna stay, because, you know, Tether has a lot of power to change things. They have a lot of ammunition. And I actually think that one of the things in Kaimi's post talks about it. I will again go there and mostly just share like this sentence from the final, one of the final paragraphs. Nearly half of incentive, this is from Kaimi's Vault Insights channel, guys. Again, t.me/vaults_insights. Nearly half of incentivized USDT Vault yield is subsidized. 10 out of 14 incentivized USDT vaults get over 40% of their APY from rewards, holding 476 million. For USDC, on the other hand, it's 18 out of 71, holding 156, meaning that in a way, like at least for now, and again, correct me if I'm not using the right terms here in your mind, Tyler, but it's like the USDC yield, like DeFi yield, is much more organic and not just, okay, we will pay you to come and try it out, guys.
Right.
71% of incentivized USDT vaults are heavily subsidy dependent versus just 25% for USDC. And really, I've never seen these kinds of like stats shared anywhere other than over here. Just a second, I see my dog is barking. But Tyler, do you have anything to add there while I check why he's barking like that?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot more subsidies on USDT, kind of what you mentioned. It's just Tether is a big dog, and I think they see this opportunity to get like even more people using Tether, and DeFi is one of the places that they can kind of say, hey, bring your more money into Tether and do things within DeFi and just grow their market. And just like I'm gonna jump over to DeFi Llama here for a minute, and still
Shout out
most of the
DeFi Llama,
Tether out
always
there.
great info.
Yeah, most of the Tether's on Tron, so that's a big opportunity. Like a lot of it's just sitting around on Tron and on centralized exchanges. And that's why Tether is investing in things like Plasma. You see down here, now there's a little bit more than $1 billion of Tether on Plasma. That's still like just drops in the bucket of total Tether supply. And so they're spending some money in, maybe not Tether directly, but the Plasma ecosystem and everyone around it to try to get a bunch of that Tether to flow there because it's a big opportunity. So if you're looking for, places to earn on your stables, that's the game to play. It's like, where are people paying me to go with my stables? And there are more people paying you to move your stables to if they're in Tether these days, and then they're paying you to hold your USDC.
Appreciate the breakdown there, Tyler. Man, thank you so much. First of all, I really enjoyed this one. I think it was useful for me, for sure. I hope it was useful for the audience as well. Leave us some comments, guys, and replies, and tell us what you think. Anything you want to add, Tyler? Any thoughts on it? How was it for you?
Yeah, it's good. It's it's always fun for me to go through this and use our product a little bit more, look at it through a different lens. So the thing I'll leave with is just, anybody who's watching, tell us what you want to learn more about, both. And I want to hear that both as someone building vaults.fyi, the product. Maybe we can put things in the product that are going to help you out, and just let us know what to cover on future segments here.
I actually think that we have a very interesting format to develop here. I think we need to learn how to do it optimally.
Yeah.
Like what should we exactly prepare in advance? But I actually think that this is exactly the kind of stuff that this is actually a show I'd want to watch. Thankfully I'm able to host it with you. But actually, I do think that the real DeFi users out there, and our audience, at least on Leviathan News, is mostly of savvy DeFi users, and I'm sure that your following at vaults.fyi is exactly the same. Like, people want to know what's actually behind the products where they deposit their money into, and to get some deeper perspectives on how things actually work and the kind of opportunities out there and the risks, and especially the mechanisms. I really enjoy the fact that Kaimi takes the time to really explain, okay, you trust XYZ, and what you actually get is the opportunity of ABC. And I actually really appreciate this kind of data. So shout out Kaimi. And folks,
Shout out Kaimi.
Go follow the guys at vaults.fyi. Check out the amazing tool at vaults.fyi. The Telegram channel we've been mentioning and shilling here is, I already remember that, t.me/vaults_insights, vault_insights, and go follow, get updated on some vaults, and See you next week, hopefully, Tyler, with some new vaults and some interesting stuff to share and yields to share with the audience and how they are created. Please like the video, everyone. Subscribe, follow us at Leviathan News. I'm DAdvisoor. This is Tyler 0x7477. I'm pretty sure it's his
you got it right.
Account. And by the way, subscribe to the new YouTube channel of vaults.fyi. How do they find it on YouTube, by the way? It's just vaults.fyi?
I think it's just vaults.fyi. Yep, at vaults.fyi.
Go and check out and follow them on their YouTube as well. And okay, let me just give another shout out to RAAC, this week's SQUID Pass holders, bringing RWA and into mostly the Curve ecosystem, I believe, a DeFi lending and borrowing ecosystem powered by real-world assets. Go check out their gold-backed stablecoin, PMUSD. Thank you so much, guys, for choosing Leviathan News and getting the SQUID Pass for this week. And thank you, Tyler, for joining and vaults.fyi. And of course, thank you, Arcus, for this amazing intro and outro video that I will send us off to the weekend with. Bye, everyone. Enjoy.
Toto できる誰でもスキルを稼げるガバナンスまである中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる